Hey, what's up guys? This is Fred Mascherino with a quick video about recording guitars. There's lots of elements you can think of when you're recording guitars. There's different amps, there's different mics, there's different preamps. Today we're going to be talking about guitar pickups and mainly guitars. I think about EQ a lot when I'm recording guitars. If you think about the way you would set your amp live, you may be the only guitarist or there may be two of you, but on a recording it could be 4, 5, 6, and as it starts to pile up, it's going to get fatter and sometimes muddier, and you're going to run out of room in those two speakers in the studio. So what I do is I set the amp a little bit less bassy than I would live. I'm going to start with the Gold Top Les Paul with the fat humbuckers in it, because this is sort of like the low end. Okay, we're going to go through the difference, and I'm using my JCM 800 today, and I'm going to use the same setting on each one, same amount of distortion, same EQ, so that you can hear the difference when all I do is switch out the guitar. So here's a classic fat humbucker Les Paul. That's what your high strings are going to sound like. Your muted stuff is going to be a fat. Your octaves. Think about the amount of distortion that is just with those. Now I'll switch it. I'm now going to another humbucker guitar from Gibson, the SG. This is my go-to. It's more of a, instead of that low mid, it's a little higher on the spectrum. So you get a little more string noise. If you remember, those high strings were not as, it's a little tighter. And if you listen to the octaves, still relatively big, not as much as the Les Paul. Next would be your classic single coil. This is a Fender Telecaster. Hear how much less gain we get? Although it sounds much more dead and tight, which is kind of nice. And then the distortion level. So what I like about that is like, if you need to really pierce through, this is the needle that's going to do it. So next is the P90 guitar. This is a Les Paul Jr. double cutaway. And this is like a ratty sound. I think of this as, we'll take a listen. What I really like these for, I like these for their ratty sound. It is a single coil, but it doesn't have that country element that the Tele has. There's no like honky tonk going on. It's strictly like, down and dirty. So this guy comes in handy usually when you have too many of those nice sounding guitars. You pull this guy out and it's like, oh, that's what we needed. We needed a new guy in there to brighten it up. Lastly, this is a 1960s silver tone that I have. And this is actually a microphonic pickup. You can speak into that. Let's see. Yeah, I believe that came through. And this I use for more like a replacements vibe or like some classic Bird stuff, because listen. It's almost clean, and yet the amp is still the same as that super distorted sound with the Les Paul that we first got. So when you have that, you kind of get a rainbow. And what happens is, a lot of people ask me, how do you get the ultimate guitar sound? They always think that they have it. But you in the studio, you don't really go for that. At least I don't. I've learned to find the two complementing sounds that and you can see it. I always record the guitarist of a band, and we do the first one, and I could tell he's having second thoughts because it's not the greatest guitar sound he's ever heard. I said, hold on. We finish. I add in the other guitar, I have him play another take. And as soon as he hears the combination, everyone in the room, their eyes light up, their faces light up. And they're like, oh, wow, this is really a magical moment. And that's what you're going for, is that combination. So I would save the Les Paul for choruses when you need that bigness to come in. Do not use it on verses. The Telecaster, perfect for verses, intros, anything that you want small, anything that you want clean, anything that you want piercing, okay? Things like this and the P90 I save for special moments like bridges and places where it's only needed. So these aren't mandatory guitars to own. They just help when you're making a record. You know, the Les Paul, the Tele, and the SG are going to be your workhorses.